with a star deemed too expensive to hire and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. On KTAL NBC6, LA Knight said this about his future goals in WWE. Not only are they looking for me to become world champion sometime soon, but I'm looking to become the WWE Universal Champion sooner than later. Dream matches, you think about people from the past who aren't doing it anymore. There are a couple of those. Everyone is talking about it again, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. That makes me look at Roman Reigns. Even Gunther with the Intercontinental Championship, Austin Theory for the United States Championship. Any one of those guys who I could take a piece of gold off of, that would be my dream match. Explaining the current situation regarding Ronda Rousey's injury, the Wrestling Observer newsletter stated, the Rousey and Baszler chase of the women's tag title is on hold because Rousey is still out of action with her broken forearm. She did WrestleMania because it was WrestleMania in Los Angeles, but was clearly not ready and still isn't ready to return. It was noted to us that her mentality regarding her injury was basically F it. She's doing WrestleMania no matter what, basically because of her mentality from both herself and her mom regarding competing in real sports while injured. While we tend to see NXT call-ups to the main roster during the draft in WWE, this was noted about it going the other way by Ringside News. The WWE draft opens up a lot of possibilities, especially with every eligible superstar up for grabs. We were able to confirm that no main roster superstar is going to NXT as a part of the draft. Talking about his wife, Mickie James, Nick Aldis said this to PW Mania about her recovery after she had to relinquish her Impact Knockouts title due to injury. She is doing well. I wouldn't want to put a number on it percentage-wise. She is certainly not in any pain or discomfort anymore with her rib. It was just in a very awkward spot, which made it difficult to heal and made it difficult for her to avoid aggravating it, so it took a bit longer than we anticipated for it to heal. But now it looks good. It looks like she'll be cleared within weeks. During the Extreme Life podcast, Matt Hardy provided details on what could be in store for an upcoming deletion match in AEW. It's going to be a lot of fun to go back to the Hardy compound. I'm really excited to take 4-man teams, 8 people all together, and have a match on the Hardy compound. That's something we've never done before. We did a lot of stuff with Decay, where there were 6 people that were interacting with one another. Obviously, that'd be myself, Jeff, and Queen Rebecca versus Abyss, Crazy Steve, and Rosemary. Now to have 8 people out there, and the Hardy compound always promises to have cameos. It always has special guest appearances. I'm excited for this one because I feel like it's going to be a little different than all the other ones. There's a lot of guys involved, but it's also going to be based in more of an AEW universe, I feel like, than any other cinematic match has been, because I get the fact that they are a more sports-centric type of promotion. So we're going to have some fun. Entertaining moments. There's going to be a lot of great physicality. It's going to be pretty brutal in many ways, a lot of spots that are going to take your breath away, but it's also going to be based in reality, which I think is going to be very good for the AEW audience. Revealing a regret from his extensive pro wrestling career, Mick Foley said this about chair shots to the head on his podcast. I never liked the fire. I did. I never felt comfortable with it. Looking back, there were 2 things he would not have done in his career. So I could have done things that were healthier, but then I'm not the guy who got to the dance. You know, those were the things that brought me there. I wish I had not dropped elbows on the concrete in non-televised matches and used it less on TV also. And I wish I'd brought up the hand, because here was no correlation to me between guys who blocked or did not block chair shots and guys who got over big time, because the guys who were the biggest stars in the business did block the chairs, and no one thought any less of them. For the Wrestling Observer newsletter, this was revealed about how much Goldberg made for his matches in Saudi Arabia with WWE. Goldberg made so much money for so few matches in his WWE deal, reportedly $2 million for each of his Saudi Arabia matches, and for AEW, that kind of money per match simply isn't cost effective. Giving an update on the status of Matt Jackson's current injury, the Wrestling Observer said, Matt Jackson did far more than anyone expected, including a series of Northern Light suplexes on the floor in the brawl on Dynamite this week. He was doing both PRP and stem cell treatments on the arm, and the doctors said how great it was looking so quickly after the injury. Platelet-rich plasma therapy uses injections of a concentration of a patient's own platelets to accelerate the healing of injured tendons, ligaments, muscles, and joints. When it comes to limiting independent booking dates that AEW stars can take, Sean Ross Sapp said, "We've had questions regarding AEW and indie dates. We haven't heard of AEW reducing indie dates, but with the expanded schedule on the horizon, many AEW talent could be more active within the company on weekends, leading to less indie dates." Touching on AEW possibly introducing a new show for Saturday, this was said about the money it could make on F4W Online. If AEW only makes what Discovery has been paying for first-run shows as a general rule, $500,000 per hour in general is what Discovery pays for first-run programming. That's $52 million per year, and that's a game-changing financial deal for AEW. Staying on the topic of AEW's new Saturday show, which is said to be called Collision, Dave Meltzer noted this about a roster split. The Elite and Blackpool Combat Club will remain the top attractions on the Wednesday Dynamite show. Speaking about possible plans for Sting's retirement in AEW, the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted, "A self-done tour sounds great, but between the costs of doing it right and the lack of visibility if it's not in WWE or AEW, it would end up being a disappointment. My gut is that Tony Khan would love to do it, although the Sting retirement has to be his priority for this year. I think Khan would love to feature Goldberg in some fashion anyway, but Goldberg made so much money for so few matches in his WWE deal." Saraya recently talked to Metro about the AEW event in London, where she sent a warning to president of the company, Tony Khan. "I feel so fortunate to think that hopefully I'm on the show. Tony, I'll hunt you down. I know where you work. I'll beat your ass. I'll kick everyone's ass. Hopefully it's a package deal with the Outcasts, and then you have people like Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, all of these people coming along. There are so many different emotions. I feel like being there is going to make me cry. In a good way. It's just a homecoming kind of thing. I haven't performed there in a long time, so it's going to be good to be in front of my home country people too." For an interview with Sports Illustrated, IWGP Women's Champion Mercedes Mone said this about WWE. "The ultimate goal for a lot of professional wrestlers is to make it to WWE. That's what I thought was the big time, but I did that. I wanted to make new history, and the place to do it is here in Japan. Japan has the highest standards for women's wrestling, and I want to set the standard in New Japan." Mercedes would also note, "I'm not the greatest women's wrestler, I am the greatest wrestler. When you think of John Cena, The Rock, or Kenny Omega, I won't stop until people are thinking of Mercedes Mone in that same light." Mentioning why former WWE star Naomi did not make her way to Japan to wrestle, the Wrestling Observer pointed out that the hard part about a longer commitment is that Bushiroad's wrestling division, even though Stardom has grown greatly, has overall taken a major financial hit because of New Japan's declines related to the pandemic, even with New Japan World Up. Because of that, the wrestling division is under pressure to keep spending down. An example is that they were told they could bring in Trinity Fatu, but it was felt it would cost too much for the return, and thus far hadn't made that deal. Mone said later that her contract wasn't expiring with this show, which would indicate they've reached an agreement to continue, and also she said she wants to make Japan her new home. During the PW Torch audio show, Wade Keller said this about the upcoming meeting in AEW between CM Punk and Chris Jericho. The idea being FTR saying, we're pitching the idea, let's moderate, we're a neutral party, and we can help let Jericho and Punk work things out. Jericho is the closest confidant of Tony Khan right now when it comes to things that include him, but go beyond him. I don't know how often, but there's times where it's like, where's Tony? Oh, he's in Chris's hotel room, or he's off in this restaurant booth talking to Chris, or wherever they talk. And it's not just about Chris Jericho stuff. Like, Jericho is a sounding board. There are people in that company who tell Tony, listen to Chris, he's been around. You can't trust anybody 100%, but Chris isn't like some secret agent who's sabotaging AEW. I think he's loyal to AEW. That's what people say at this point. And so I think FTR and Punk are aware of that. Talking about CM Punk potentially apologizing to the Elite amidst talks of his return to AEW, it was said in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that regarding the meeting scheduled to try and smooth out issues with Tony Khan, CM Punk, FTR, and Chris Jericho, there's nothing new on that, and we were told it had not taken place as of press time. As of the weekend, there was no resolution to the situation, and there are many situations and things involved. Since I've been asked about this a lot, Punk has not apologized or attempted to make any direct amends to the Young Bucks, although those close to him said that's because he's been told not to have any contact with them, and without any contact, he couldn't. Nobody has said he would if he could, or he wouldn't, because there are people who want everyone to make amends, and that was suggested by many of at least an attempt at a way. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.